WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often reviewing rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have Bomberger's Declaration 2023 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Whiskybase number 269488, and we have batch number L, lot 23, the year, E, I think it's the month, 1952. Now, what's very interesting is, I don't know if you care or not, but I can go online in the Whiskybase and take a look at the 2023 batches of Bomberger with 54%, and I have the batch 23E 1939, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, nothing, 49, 50, and I have 51, and I have batch number 52, which is the only 700 milliliter batch because we have different bottle sizes over here. Now, what happened to batch number 48? I actually Googled and tried to find batch number 49. Yes, found 47, found 50, found 46, but I Googled 49, not a single mention anywhere on the World Wide Web about it. So if anyone has information about this Bermuda Triangle disappeared batch number 23E1948, I'd love to know, just out of curiosity. All right, so I'm going to compare it to, and they usually arrive, at least over here in Germany, in a double pack, twins, Shanks. So this is 46.5%. This is the 2023 release. The last time I bought both of them was 2021. I stopped buying them because of the one word, Chinquapin. Now, my video about Shanks is already online, and I found out that Shanks stopped using Chinquapin in 2021. So we're always 1 year behind over here. So you have a 2023 release. It hits the shores of Europe 2024. So what they do is Michters actually create containers, put the pallets in there, put the container, and send it over to Europe. Now, in this case, maybe the German importer here, Mack und Schulte, receives their own container, and then they distribute it all over Germany. Or sometimes what used to happen with Balcones is they would actually send over a container full of products for all of Europe. It'd land in Amsterdam, and Amsterdam would send it to their distributors in Spain and Italy and France and Germany and everywhere. They'd have a national distributor, but a European importer. And it says here imported by the Mack und Schulte. So we have a German importer here, not a European importer. This has Chinquapin. All that lineup is just to talk about they've used Chinquapin. I am not a big Chinquapin fan. So the Legacy series has been out since 2018 with the Shanks. Every year they've done something different. I'm starting to call this Legacy series a little bit like the Woodford Reserve's Masters Collection. Chris Morris, before Elizabeth took over, did all sorts of crazy things. He had a 4-grain mash bill. He's done lower barrel entry proof. He's done different casks. He's done, sweet corn. He's done all these different things. What happens to a bourbon if you change that? And I really have the feeling that they're doing that with Shanks. They're doing that with here, with the wood. Every single year they basically mention, except for last year, 2022. So 2018, they just had a very small portion of Chinquapin. 2019, they talked about some Chinquapin. Yeah, and then 20, they actually mentioned, 3-year aged, air-dried Chinquapin. And they increased the proportions. 21, they actually talked about adjusting the char levels of the Chinquapin level. So they're tweaking and changing and making sure. In 2022, there's no mention of anything. It just says here for 2022, which I don't have, the 2022 release continues the Bomberger tradition of offering bold and beautiful 108 proof Kentucky straight bourbon with a rich and layered complexity due to a portion of the bourbon being aged in Chinquapin oak. You want to hear how you say that? Quercus? Muehlenbergii. It's almost like Swiss German. Bergli. I love that. And the Chinquapin oak utilized for aging was naturally air-dried and seasoned for 3 years before being toasted and charred to exacting specifications created by Andrea Wilson, the master of maturation and COO of Michters. And now in 2023, we have the first time they've been playing with the mash bill. In both of these, we have malted rye. Now, I'm just going to say these are 6 years of age. They might be 4, they might be 8. I'm just going to say 6, just for argumentation's sake. So we put them out on the market 2023. 6 years before that is 2017. Before the first release, 2018, even happened. So it's a little bit of time between making, bottling, and learning. So it's a long game that we're doing here. And so they used malted rye. My favorite rye from Canada is Lot 40. Dr. Don Livermore, at the very beginning of this product, actually used malted rye as well. And then he switched to 100% unmalted rye because it had a different flavor profile. Malted rye gives a little bit of that espresso, mocha, cappuccino moment going on in there. He actually named for me the enzyme that happens, and I forgot. Good. Now, about 8 years ago, almost 10 years ago, New Riff started making rye whiskey. 95% unmalted rye, 5% malted rye. So they've been experimenting with malted rye. They started as well. Now, is malted rye good? It can be. Can malted rye be too much? Take a look at Balcones rye. That's 100% malted rye. For me, it's too much. All right, so it just, other people go, it's perfect, it's beautiful, it's great. It does add a different flavor. And so not only have they been perfecting the barrels and the char and the proportion of this in Chinquapin, they now started actually changing the mash bill a little bit. Michter's is not great at transparency. Sorry. All right. They're doing a lot of things right. They have the right portfolio. They have the right bottles. They have the right hype. They were named, what was it, Best World Distillery 2023. They're doing a lot of things right, but they're not great at transparency. What proportion of these have Chinquapin? What is the mash bill? How much malted rye is in there? A lot of questions that are a lot of vagueness. Now, for the average drinker, who cares? For the geeks, the connoisseurs, the nerds out there, it's like, I want to know everything. I want to know the name of the yeast. I want to know the pH level of your water. I want to know the fermentation time. I even want to know, I think it's Atnaho, that actually puts the name of the maltster and of the head distiller that was on the shift at that time. I want to know everything. Blockchain QR code included. And does it change the taste of the whiskey? No. But that is great transparency. And they're making a bottle here, batches, 24 barrels, about 3,000 bottles each time. So there's 30,000 bottles, maybe roundabout, that were bottled this year for the whole world. And that's it. That's not a lot, but enough that exactly this level of, scarcity and availability has been reached. It's not in every store, but most stores did get something. Not every person can buy it because it's not on the shelf, but often it is. And in secondary market, people are letting go of their bottles for 50% markup price compared to the 110, the 150, the 160. They go, here, you can have it. I'm going to go buy something else. And those geeks, those fans, those connoisseurs out there that want, there's a hunt, that actually go on the hunt for the bourbon, this is almost like the prize to show. It's not the biggest prize, but it's a prize. It's a mid-level hunting bourbon. George T. Stagg, BTAC, everything there is a high level. There's even higher. So, I mean, we could actually do a game here of ranking a tier. What tiers of... so we go for bottom shelf, mid shelf, upper shelf, behind the glass, under the counter, and in the safe. Those are just spontaneous ideas of how could we rank these, all right? And so Stag often is then not just behind the glass, but under the counter, and so then what was it? King of Kentucky might be in the safe, or here. Willet what is it? Pappy Family Reserve 13-year-old rye. That's a safe whiskey. All right, that's like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 euros over here in auction. Yeah, those are safe whiskey. Yeah, that's a game we can play. And this is behind glass. It's not hidden away. It's not in the safe. I just created a new category. I just created a new game. I'm sure I'm not the first person to do this, but I'm gonna think about this some more. All right, so now you came here for me to review the whiskey. I'm not a great fan of this. I used to not be the great fan of the Shanks when there was Chinquapin in it, but those French oak, those toasted, that marshmallow moment is really, really gets me. The Shank is good this year. Solid B. This is going to be a C+. All right, cheers. It just adds a certain flavor that I'm not partial to. A little bit of wood. I always get teak. I used to work as a cabinet maker as a teenager part-time, and we'd have to sometimes make for boats teak. You'd wear the mask, and this has silicone in there, and you can't, when you cut it, it releases something bad for your lungs. And that smell of fresh teak is what I get here as a taste. It's not bad, but there's fruitiness, but not much sweetness. It's a very dry whiskey. This, on the other hand, is so much more toasted goodness. This is marshmallow. This is sweetness. I like this, and I don't taste the malted rye, and that's, I think, what Andrea Wilson and the Master of Maturation and the entire Michter's team understands is subtle seasoning notes. I've had bottles where it's not subtle; it's in your face. And they're doing very subtle changes here. I assume that this is their own spirit made by their own company. They're in Kentucky, in Shelbyville, on the outskirts of Louisville. Put it on the label, please. It still says bottled by, not distilled by. I think these are made at their factory themselves. Not Fort Nelson downtown, but actually at the plant where they have no visitor center. The nose is fantastic. The taste is really good. I might bump this up to a B+ now. This, even despite its 54%, I like this with its 46.5% better. I'm really anxious. I'm not anxious. I'm really I'm looking forward to see what they're going to have as their 2024 release, which means I will be doing a video about it probably in 2025 if I can get my hands on the bottles. And Michters, thank you very much for having great products. Standard base products, 10s, the 20s, the 25-year-olds at Unatanium, and then you have this plus the Toasted Barrel series. Too expensive, but people are paying the prices, so it's not. Michters understands the market better than I, the consumer, often do. What is your favorite product with Chinquapin? Question of the day. Now, Glenallachie, which is Billy Walker, has used Chinquapin in quite a few of the products. So you can go over there and you can find their, Malik Führer? Their first, 4 or 5 year old, heavily peated. He himself distilled it with his team. There was a wood series here, Mikla 3. There was a Chinquapin oak series. Rase uses Chinquapin. I always forget. There's red wine, Chinquapin, and bourbon. I think they use. Rye, Chinquapin, and red wine. So they're very unique there. And the legacy. Bomberger has always had it. Who else uses Chinquapin? So I know Bifrost up there in, is it Norway? So Bifrost is here. So is it Norway? Is it Finland? So French oak, Chinquapin, Colombian oak. So Arctic Norway. It's Norway. So it's Norway distilled. Bifrost or Bifrost. Bivrost, that I'm using it as well. Who else? Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and I hope I have given you a little bit of new information here. See you real soon. Bye-bye.